A bus carries just some of the delegates from around the world who've flown into Britain for this high-level conference, which will be a major forum to crystallise thinking on what nations need to do about climate change. Wilton Park has collaborated with the Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Partnership to bring about this annual conference. REAP is an enabler and aims to enhance the understanding of global markets for sustainable energy as a major contribution to lowering carbon emissions. The headlines of the day might have reminded delegates of the climate change problems they are dealing with. This is a conference which encourages the exchange of new ideas on how to meet the challenge of climate change. They first heard about British plans to tackle the problem against the background of net imports of gas and oil.
Our energy security essentially is threatened by the fact that difficult it is for some of us to understand our enormous abundance of North Sea oil and gas has now diminished to the extent that we are either are in the one case and will be in the other case net importers, and our climate security is threatened as the security of the whole world is threatened. How are we going to do it? By reducing carbon dioxide both at home and abroad, and we deliberately start by saying at home. As you know, under Tony Blair, the UK has adopted a strong and deliberate leadership posture and has committed itself to CO2 emissions reductions above and beyond the international obligations set by the Kyoto Protocol, and we continue to do that in the hope that we will thereby stimulate further action abroad.
Fran Pavley had just flown in from Los Angeles, where she'd led the way with Californian legislation on reducing emissions from motor vehicles. Other US states are following.
And the exciting thing is 13 other states have now said that they will be adopting our standards. We just need to get the waiver from the federal government, the Environmental Protection Agency. It doesn't require a vote of Congress and it doesn't require approval by the President, but the Environmental Protection Agency should procedurally grant us this waiver, just as they've done over 40 times in a row for other programs that we've implemented over the last several decades.
Wilton Park is making its own contribution to reducing carbon emissions with a biomass plant for heating to replace gas oil. The wood chip fuel comes from trees on the vast estate on the edge of the South Downs. This new plant saves 165 tonnes of carbon a year, a small contribution itself, but it shows what can be done at this level. Meanwhile, on this first day of the conference, the delegates had come out of their discussions for a group photo. We spoke to one of Japan's key negotiators, and we also spoke to the delegate from Beijing, who acknowledged that China needs help with technology if it is to reduce emissions.
Among the 20-some developed countries, we only cover the 30% of the global emissions at this moment. 70% are coming from the developing countries, especially from China, Brazil, and some other huge emitting nations.
And the view from China?
It's a very difficult time for China. As you know, China with very big population and with fast economic growth. That means there will be a lot of energy demand. The energy demand means emission increasing. As you mentioned, yes, in the world, it's a special developed world. It has the agreement of the reduction of the emissions, but China has the increasing.
From this conference, nations should be given fresh impetus towards low-carbon economies.